So welcome everyone once more to our software testing bootcamp. Last couple of weeks, we've been working on the a lab session where we're trying to actually create test cases with real world situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys through the process, and we're going to try to do it together. And I have gotten some. We're also going to review some of the submissions that we've gotten, which is uh, yeah, some people have like Obi was able to complete his assignment or do some of it, Sumbo, and yeah, and then we're going to also analyze it. So typically, um, I'm gonna ask some questions as well to see if you guys understand the process that happens during a time like this. So first of all, if we look at this requirement that is here, I want to ask you guys a question. So, is my first question will be the feature that is being required in this lab, is it a new feature or is it a change? So anything that is new is called a change. Is it a new feature slash change or is it a bug? So I'm gonna go around. So remember, the question: is it a new feature or is it a bug? I'll start with Obi.
So I'll say it's a new feature, okay, but also a bug.
Okay, new feature also a bug. Chino, so what do you think? I mean, Chino,
Isn't it,
so not Justin. Yeah,
isn't the requirement of registering a faro and selecting the option of automatically adding piglet?
yeah, the one we have on the screen. Are you guys see my screen?
No,
Oh,
You can't see it.
I'm sorry. Oh, that's my bad. That's my bad totally. All right. So
okay.
this is the requirement. Yeah, and yes, the one you're referring to. So is this a new requirement or is it a bug? So Obi said it's a new requirement, but also a bug. What is your take?
Um, I'll say it's a new feature because right now you cannot provide choices to the user to assign a tag number.
Okay, so it's a new feature. All right. Sumbo, what do you think?
I think it's a new feature.
Okay, new feature. Justin, what's your take?
I think it's I think it's a bug, and my reasoning behind it is that ideally, considering the happy flow, that should have been part of a happy flow for users to be able to see all those information once entered. So I think is a bug.
Okay, good. If I, what do you think?
Uh, I'm not really sure of the answer. I'm still trying to catch up.
Okay, but have you seen this assignment?
Yeah, but I've not gone through thoroughly.
Okay. All right. So you just try to follow along. Then I think you'll figure it out. So Justin gave us a reason why he thinks it's a bug. I'd like to know Obi's reason why he thinks it's also partially a bug.
Okay, so it's a bug because usually when the user imputes the letter ID, That is how it works before. The user expects that the letter ID will then show when he goes to check um, the information about the pig. So even though the letter ID does not reflect in the pig's tag ID, the letter ID is still supposed to appear on the pig's profile. Yeah, but that was not the case. So that's why I said it's a bug. So when that section there, that letter ID section, naturally does not do anything.
Okay.
So it doesn't take the information or use it. That's why I say it's a bug.
Okay, so let me try to explain what OB is implying. Let's see. So OB is saying that even if you put a liter ID here, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't show up. It doesn't show up. Where is it again? Edit. It doesn't show up here when you register the piglet. That's why, right?
Yeah, it doesn't show up there.
So it doesn't do anything with it. All right, good. So, so first thing, before I answer the question, so you see my first question. The first question I'm asking is this a change or a bug? So, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Give it a bit, please. All right. Sorry about that, guys. So please take your pen and paper and notes. So I'm going to just give you guys questions you definitely always should ask, both yourself and the team. And at first, I think it's since you guys are new to this field, just write these questions down so that you just ask it. And over time, it will start coming to you naturally. You understand? So you see me, I didn't write it down. It comes to me naturally because I've been in this field for quite some time. But for you guys, I think write these questions down. Just be like any meeting I get it going to that we have to that we have to there's a requirement coming in and we have to do. I want to know the answers to this question. So your first question that you should ask yourself, or if you're not sure of the answer yourself, ask the team, ask the analyst. Is it a bug or is it a change? Now, ideally, you'll be able to know if it's a bug or a change yourself as a tester. But maybe when you're new to the field or when you're new in the team, you might not know. So just ask the question: is it a bug or is it a change? How do you identify a bug and a change? Remember, a change is the same as a new feature. So I want you guys to have this term. So when you're noting it down, right? Is it a bug or is it a new feature slash change? Because those are the terms you hear a lot in the yeah during your meetings in the sector. A change means it was not there before. You did not ask for it before. Now you're asking for it. What do I mean? When we built this page, the analyst did not ask us to add this feature. Now he's asking us to add it. That's a change. That's a new feature because yeah, formerly you didn't ask for it. Now you're asking for it. You understand? So that is a change. A bug is the analyst asked for something and he specified that that thing should work in a specific way and now it's not working that way. So that's a bug. So it's not a new feature. He has already told the team to build it this way. The team built it and it's not working. Now, which brings me to Obi's answer. Now, Obi, your answer is not entirely correct. This is a change. Why am I saying it's a change? Look at the requirements. When registering a faro and selecting the option to automatically add piglets, provide the user with the following choice for assigning tag numbers to the piglet. So if you were in a new team, take for example, they just employed you. You just have to ask the question, is this a change or is this a bug? Is this a new feature? Or everybody's going to say it's a new feature, it's a change, it wasn't there before. That one you get it clear. Now, Obi, you mentioned that it's a bug. Based on the requirement here, it's not a bug. This is a new feature. But when you were testing, you now found a bug. Did you get it?
Yeah.
So
I
That's
get that.
totally different from this requirement. So you're just gonna your answer will be like, yeah, this is a change, but you also found a bug when you were testing or when you were analyzing, and that bug will be registered differently. You understand? So this is a change. So that's your first question. Now, the second thing I want to do now is I want you guys to look at this requirement. Just think about it. A lot of you are very new to this domain. You're very new to Pigax. You don't know anything about it. You have to ask some questions to be able to understand. So if you look at this requirement, what are some questions? Okay, now before I get there, there's also something Chinonso asked. Chinonso said, I needed the website, or I thought I needed the website to be able to write the test. Um, let me before I answer that question, or I shed more light into that. Chinonso, I would like to know why you think you need the website or have to have access to the website before you can write this test.
Because if I just go straight to pigas.com, I'll see a registration page where I have to register and sign up.
Okay.
And I might not have access to to this I don't know if I had signed up with my normal email, I would still have this screen.
Okay. So, uh, I actually think a lot of you, also with my wife, I had this conversation with my wife. Try not to think about this too complicated. Don't make it too complex. And we all tend to do that every now and then. So, I want you guys, at least that's how my brain works. In a lot of things, try to see how you can link it to your daily life. You understand? Try to see how you can link it to your daily life. And I'm going to give an example how we can do that with this to prove to you that in this particular situation, you don't need the website per se to write the test for this specific requirement. Now I'll give you an example. If I told you, if I said, so I'm going, so I bet you cook a lot, so I'm going to use cooking as an example. If I said to you, so I want you to cook uh, jollof rice for me, but I want you to make sure that it's a little bit saltier than normal. It should have a way more salt than normal. Do you understand? Remember, requirement number one, I want you to cook jollof rice. Requirement number two, I want you to let it be salty. You understand? Let it be salty because everybody likes food that doesn't have too much salt. But I want it to be salty. Those are my requirements. Now imagine you now say, before you can write a test for that, a simple test for that would be first check if it was actually rice. So how do you check that? You write your test. Uh, Check if rice was actually cooked. So you open the pot, is rice. Test has passed. Number two, take a spoon and test the rice and uh, feel if it's very salty. If it's very salty, check has passed. That's it. You've written test for that. But what if you now said, I need to enter the kitchen before I can write the test? Is that possible? Is that true? If you think about it now this way, you say you need to enter the kitchen and see the rice before you can write the test. Is that necessary? Let me put it like that. What do you think, Chidoso?
No, you don't have to enter the
Because you know the
kitchen.
requirements already. You don't even need to see the kitchen. You can write the test from your office because the test is simple. Check if there's rice cooked. You open the pot, there's rice cooked. Check if um uh it has salt by tasting. That's it. You don't need to enter the kitchen. You understand? So that's how you should look at this. This is a new requirement, and this thing I just painted mostly is you use this technique when it's a change, when it's a new requirement. So in a lot of times you don't have to see it as long as you understand the requirement. If you don't understand the requirement, then it's hard because that's why I'm saying you have to ask questions. So when do you actually need to enter the kitchen? When it's a bug, yes. So when it's a bug, then you would say I need to have access to the website. So what is a bug? Let me use the kitchen scenario. So the kitchen scenario is yes, we have already cooked this rice already, and the person is done. And one of our tester tested it, but didn't test it very well. And all of a sudden, when we gave the rice to our customer says, "Oh, I actually requested for a rice with a lot of salt, but this rice does not have a lot of salt. So go fix it." So I register a bug and I say, Chinonso as my tester, please, I have a bug. The customer complained that the salt is too low. So yes, you as your tester, the first thing you have to do is check if the customer is correct. And how do you check if the customer is correct? You do need access to the kitchen. You are going to take a spoon by yourself and test it if the customer is correct. So you see, in when it's a bug, yes, you do need access to the kitchen. You do need to open the pot yourself because the first thing you want to do as a tester is to reproduce the error. You want to check if whatever the customer is saying is happening is actually what's happening. So yes, you need access to the kitchen, you need access to the pot, you need access to the rice because you test it yourself. The same thing, if this was a bug, then your premise will be correct, which is yes, I need access to the website. I need to write see tests if that's whatever was claimed was correct. I hope I didn't confuse you guys more than I'm explaining. Chinonso?
I think I'm kind
Okay.
of confused. So you're saying that I could run a test case without actually going to
No,
the
I didn't say you
website?
can run a test case. I say you can write a test case. Remember, this is about writing.
Okay.
You get it?
So I should write it based on what I feel like a registration should
Mm-mm.
look
You
like.
should write it based on what you know from the requirements.
Okay, while writing it, I don't have to test if that's what's
No,
happening.
because it's a new feature. It doesn't exist.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Once you wrap your head around it, it's just gonna make sense. It might take a while, but just try to find a way to link it up. So if something is new, it doesn't exist. This is something that doesn't exist. That means the only way you can write your test case for it is you have to understand the requirements. You have to ask questions about the requirements. Is this confusing any other person? So I can try my best to. Or you know, so if you're also confused, maybe I made it more complicated with the cooking thing. Maybe I can try another example. But I think it's very important you guys understand this. Is it confusing anybody as well? Obi.
Okay, so it's not confusing, but the way I see the requirements, just to add to what you said, I assume that the requirements will also have to come with, say, a lot of pictures to help us understand, what's where we have to go to in the software, and all that. Then it will help us write the test cases very well because I now understand that there are two things here. There's writing of test case and there's test
Exactly.
execution where you get to run the test. So the test execution is where we then need to go to the software. For writing the test case, we just depend solely on the requirements, and it depends on how explanatory the requirements is and our ability to ask questions to bring out the what we need to do. So that's how I understand it so
That
far.
is what I'm trying to pull out. So I intentionally made the test case this way. So you see what you said. You said you are saying something like, then I need to we need a graphical thing to see where is this drop down going to be? What's it going to be called? You have to ask those questions because your test case writing is going to totally depend on this because it doesn't exist. It's going to depend on the requirement. So the reason I wrote this test like this, you see, they are limited. There are some information that you're not getting here, and that's where you as a tester have to ask those questions. So let's try some of them. So I'm gonna get my. I want you guys to now. I don't know. Is it making sense? So the first question I said was, let me see. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Uh, Is this a bug or a change? Okay, so who can help us with the second question? Because now you know that you don't have to see anything. You can only write a good test if you understand the requirements here. So who has another question to ask that could help the team to understand this requirement and know exactly what to do? First of all, who does not understand the requirements here? Then I can explain it because that's also something. During your meeting, if you don't understand the requirements, you say, "Guy, I don't understand this explanation. Can you please explain it to me so I will understand what you're actually asking?" Remember, that's you asking the analyst. But other than that, if you guys understand it, ask. Can you ask me questions now so that you would understand these requirements properly? So Obi, you had a question. Did you in your answer now? I had some kind of a question there that I was expecting. And remember last week I was iterating, ask questions because I really expect you guys not to understand or know a lot of things, but you have to understand it to write a better unit test. So who has a question? Obi, shoot.
Okay, so based on the fact that we've not used the software before, we don't know
No,
anything
we
about the
don't know anything
software.
about this feature.
How do we now know
Yeah.
this feature rather? Okay, so we need to understand
Okay.
the steps to take us to get there. Then we need graphical representation of how the feature is going to be like,
What
because
are
based on the requirement, we know that there's going to be something. So we want to understand what the developer has in mind using the
not the
pictures.
not the developer,
So how do we get? Oh,
what the analyst has in mind. Because the developer
sorry,
is
the
just like you, he
analyst.
too is
The
trying to
analyst
understand.
has in mind.
So is there
Yeah.
any graphical representation representation of this feature? Okay. What other question could you ask? Am I summarizing your question properly? Is this what you mean? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Graphical representation.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah, I think from the graphical representation we can then know the steps. So that will not
Oh, it's okay.
steps.
It's don't worry.
Or
The
should I
question.
say
Don't worry. You might ask the
steps?
same question in a different way. The point I'm trying to make here is these questions
Okay.
you have to try to ask questions. If not, it's not going to be clear. Sumba, do you have any question that you want to share with us that could help you write a better unit test?
Okay. What is the precondition that the user should have before he'll be able to use either liter ID or prefix for registering the
Okay,
file?
what is the precondition? Okay, to be able to perform this registration. Okay, so you see, even maybe the answer to this question, some of you know it. Maybe you might be like, "Oh, I know what." As long as you're a tester and you don't know, ask. Don't be like, "Oh, maybe somebody knows." Just ask, just for your own clarity. So cool, cool question. Um, who has any more question? Okay, any more question? Okay, so let's stick with some of this question. So now we see. Let's look at the requirements again. So it says when registering a faro and selecting the option to automatically add piglets, provide the user with the following choices to assign tag numbers to the piglet. So that means that before the users does not have this option to either select if they want to use if tag numbers will be used as prefix or if liter ID will be used as prefix, right? So maybe a good question would be how will the user select which let me see which uh, which choice they prefer graphically. So this question is very similar to Obi's question, which is Obi wants to know how would this look like. I'm also asking this question as a tester. As a tester, okay, how is it going to look like? Now, what do I mean by that question? Are we going to use? Is this going to be? There are different ways to select choices in if you're familiar with the if you're familiar with forms in on the internet. So you have different ways to make a choice. So we have the choice what do you call it? I think is wait, let me say HTML form choice. Yeah, we have the yeah, what do you call it? Let me, oh, sorry, you have the radio button. I, I mean, radio button. Maybe some of you don't know it's called this way, but that's the name it's called. So we have the radio button choice. You see, this is a way to select stuff. So you have three options here. You can select Dewey, Louis, or Huey. So this is one way to select. You also have another way to select when using forms called the select form drop down. Yeah, exactly.
Drop down.
So the drop down looks like this. So let's try it. So this is a drop down. It's also like this. You could also say, okay, someone could also say, no, I want you to type it. You'd be like, okay, for typing stuff, we use HTML text field. So text field. So you say, uh, this is a liter ID number. So you see, if you bring like 10 people together, just this requirement, they might translate it different way. One person might say, "Oh, it's probably going to be a select, a radio button." Sorry, it's always going to be a radio button. Somebody might be like, "Oh no, it's a drop down," and somebody might be like, "Oh, you have to type it." You see, those three things is a problem because it's not clear. But you asking the analyst, how will the user select which choice they prefer? The answer will now be, say, a drop down, use just a drop down select. So, do you know what this has done for you as a tester? What this answer has done for you as a tester is, in your test case now, one of the lines will be, you will find a drop down called so and so. But I mean, you didn't have this, you didn't ask this question. You would say, what would you even say? And then select, and then choose, and then write. You get, because now you don't know you don't know the analyst. You didn't ask the real question from the analyst because you don't know. So you want to ask these questions, which is also very similar to this one. So you say, well, is there any graphical representation to it? Oh yeah, I can answer that, and then maybe me as the analyst, I'll go back to enquete.com. I mean to the Pigax site, and I'll just maybe make a screenshot if I'm too lazy for that, and I would just probably add it to the what do you call it? I'll add it to the requirement and say, yeah, the new feature should be added here under the actual faro date and liter ID. It should be added here. And then you can even go as far as asking what should be the name of the what do you call it? What should be the name of the label? So maybe I'll say I'll now give a label name, like just like this one is called actual faro date. Say okay, I'll give a label as uh or say prefix or something. You understand? So imagine now all these questions now I'm asking. Now we know where it's gonna be. You as a tester, you know it's gonna be under the first two input. You know what the name is of the label is. You also now know it's going to be a drop down. So you're not going to be fantasizing anymore that, oh, is it going to be a text? Is it going to be a radio? No, you know because you asked the analyst and the analyst answered you. And another important thing is when you are asking these questions, Don't just be satisfied with the analyst just saying it with his mouth. Oh, it should be a drop down. No, he has to write it in the requirements. Do you know why this is important? Who knows why this is important? So you're in a meeting room, you ask the question, how would the user select which choice they prefer? The analyst says drop down, and he didn't write it. Why is it important that that answer he gave you must be written in the requirements? And the requirements is this is the requirement I gave you guys, right? Why is it important that he has to add it in this requirement, like edit this one and add those things? Why do you think it's important? Raise up your hand if you have an idea. If I
Uh, the requirements might change tomorrow, or maybe the business analyst may be like, he didn't say it. Then you have to redo everything, or might get in trouble.
That's a very good answer. That's one of the most important reasons why you have to do that, because it happens a lot. You might be surprised now that he said drop down and he did not write it. But then you put the software in production and the business is not happy. The business is like, I've already mentioned that this should be a radio button. Why do we have it drop down? Guess who they're gonna blame by default? They're gonna blame the tester. And when they blame the tester is gonna say, no, it's not me. I actually asked the analyst, and the analyst said it's a drop down. Now guess what if the analyst forgets? I'm like, no, I never said that. I never said that. And you're like, yo, no, you said that. No, you said that. No. It has to be documented. So one, it makes it very clear that it was part of the requirement. Technically, anything that is that is not in the requirement document is not a requirement, even though someone says it with his mouth. This is so important. If you guys say anything in your mouth and it's not added to this requirement, it's not a requirement. That means tomorrow, if somebody comes and say I don't have this feature, it's not a bug. If someone says, oh, it's I found a bug. It's supposed to be radio button, and you go back to the requirement and you read it and you don't see where it says it has to be a radio button. It's not a bug. It's a change. Why? Because in the requirement you never specified that it was supposed to be a radio button. What you specified was it should be a drop down. You get it? Or if it was never specified, or maybe you guys never asked of it and somebody put a drop down and it's like, no, we're supposed to be, and you come back to your requirement document and you don't see it there, you say, no, it's a change, it's a new feature because it was not specified in the requirements. So your Bible as a tester is your requirements. That's why during your meetings you want to bring out as much, you want to understand as much as everything by asking questions, and any answer that is given, bro, please write it. Write it there. If you're the one typing, type it, or if it's the analyst must write it. Because when you guys are done, it's this requirement that you use to write your test. Anything that is not in this requirement, if you are coming back later and say, oh no, the text should be upside down, all you just have to do, go back to your requirement and read. Did I say anywhere the text should be upside? No, it's not there. It's a change. I'm sorry, this is not a bug. It's a change. It's a new feature because in our requirement, it was not stated that it should be upside down. Are you guys following me? So
Yeah, that's
the point
clear.
I'm trying to make is, remember I've told you guys, stay away from assumptions. I'm telling you, even if it doesn't make sense and is in the requirements, do it how it is in the requirements. One. Secondly, or most importantly, if it doesn't make sense, that's your cue to ask the analyst, or during your meeting, ask, this thing you are saying you should do like this. Are you sure you know what you're saying? Because it doesn't make sense to me. So if it was a mistake, it will be corrected then. Or you'll be surprised. Yes, the business wants it to be upside down. Do you understand? So don't go and start assuming that, oh, this doesn't make sense. Let me turn it up. Let me test it to be upside down. No, that's not your job. Your job is to follow the requirements. And anything you think is out of place, you have to go check with the analyst and say, okay, this text, you want it to be upside down, but is this really what the requirement is? And when you do that, if it's a mistake, the analyst will be like, oh, thank you so much. Oh my God, I didn't even see it. He will document it, he will change it, and then you continue your test. But don't go and start assuming things because that's not your job. Your job is to test based on requirements. So now that's where this asking of question comes in. So we see, so this part we've asked, is it a new, sorry, the first one, is it a bug or a change? It's a change because it didn't exist before. It's not going to exist. What are the steps to get to this feature? Yeah, so to answer that question, yeah, the steps. I think this question and the precondition question is the same. What are the steps to get to this feature? Sumbo asked, what is the precondition to be able to perform this registration? Now, the precondition is that, of course, let me see. We can try to create it. So because remember we simulated this before you can see this button, you have to go through various steps, which are the preconditions. So let's try to. Oh, okay. I This is a different account. Let me try a different one if I have access to it. Just give me a minute. Oh no, this is not a good test account. Let me try a different test account. Let me try this one if I have any accounts in here. Yeah, okay, I have four pigs. So let's go to events. Yeah. So what happened is, you see, on the other account, I didn't have the add button. The reason I didn't have the add button is we built the software in such a way that um, if I add a worker to my farm, I can decide if I want him to be able to change things. So on that my account, I was not allowed to change anything. So I can only see, but I cannot change. So or I cannot add stuff. So let's try to add a new pregnancy. So let's try to answer this question, right? So the question is, what are the steps to get to this feature? What is the precondition? So the step, the steps are cross. So let's say the first step is that you should have an existing, a successful pregnancy registration, right? So that means we should have already registered a pregnancy that was successful. Mating type, let me see, where is it? Mating type, the pig is already registered on the. Oh, see, this is also a beautiful thing. You cannot re-register a pig that is already pregnant, so that's beautiful. Let's see. Oh, I don't have another pig, so let me go back here and register and create a pig that is pregnant. Let me just say pregnant. Let me just say pig ABC. I'll give it the same tag name. It must be a female, of course. It should be old enough to be pregnant in the first place. Yes, litter number. I'll just say for my wife. It's a Duroc. It's a breeding stock. Pig group is not necessary. I'll put it in pen one. And I think we can also put the delivery date. So we have added a pig now called Pig ABC. So it's a female and it's 1 year old. So that means it can get crossed. So if we go to pregnancy now, let's try to add it again, and then we'll select Pig ABC. When did it get crossed? We say it got crossed in August. That means it should be giving birth in November, approximately. Mating. Is it a full breed? The boa tag number. Okay. So the precondition is, first of all, we should have a pregnancy record That is, you see, this is waiting for pregnancy, and because of his waiting for pregnancy, we cannot confirm Pharaoh. You see, there's no button for confirming Pharaoh. So the precondition is first we should have an existing pregnancy record, and the pregnancy should have already been confirmed. So only then, so it should be a successful pregnancy. It's already confirmed. Only then would you see the confirm Pharaoh button. And also, this condition is also this feature only exists when there's any piglet born alive. So if you click yes, that's the only time you see this form. If you see no, you would not see this form. So it's a good question. Um, Two ways. This is not how would I put it? Yeah, this could you could ask this question if you're new, and jot it down yourself so that you will know how to get here. And sometimes, yeah, the analyst could also add it to his requirements. But this is not something that necessarily has to be in the requirements. This is just a question of how do I get to that form. That's just it. How do I get here? The question is just basically how do I get here? What are the steps I need to take to be able to get to this form where that new feature will be added? So yes, it's you have to ask this question, very important, but it's possible that this might not be something that needs to be documented in the requirement documents, because yeah, it's just more of how do I get to that form. Is there a graphical representation of this feature? This one is important if you ask me, because this will remove this one, and this one are quite similar. This will help any misunderstanding to be taken away. So because if there is no representation, I might be expecting the select to be under here, and maybe in my text I'll now say, after you fill in stillborn, click this, and this was not here. It's maybe up here. So it's not. It's always good if it's possible to ask them, okay, where should this new feature, where do we expect it? You understand? Is there a graphical is there a graphical or UX diagram for it for me to see so that we can add it to the requirements? Yes. Even if it's a sketchy drawing like this is helpful because you can always refer back to this. If somebody comes now and say, "But I thought you tested this." Yeah, I tested it based on the requirements, and you bring this and you say, "Listen, they said it should be here, and that's where we built it. That was where I tested it." You get it? So you need to have these questions out. Any ambiguity you don't understand, you will have to ask it. Yeah. Then there was also let me see, what else did I ask? So let's go back to the requirement. Um, Let me see. So the requirement states that you now give an example, right? Right. If the user selects liter ID as prefix, this is how the format should be. So the liter ID should be here, the first part, and it has to have a dash and followed with the unique ID for the piglet. So if the liter ID is L123 and the unique ID for the piglet is O1, the tag will be L123O1. So this is already showing you how you have to test it. If you don't understand it, you ask. But yeah, questions are important. If the user selects mother tag as the prefix, that means the mother tag should start and then the unique ID for the followed by a dash and the unique ID. So you could even go ahead and ask questions like, let me give you an example of a question I could ask based on this example. I would ask these these brackets that are here, should they be part of the name? It might look like a dumb question, but yes, you want to know because sometimes yes, they mean that the ID should have this bracket. And if you ask me, I'll be like, no, 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 no. It doesn't have to be like, look at the example I gave here. There's no bracket. So it's just a way for me to separate it. So it should just look like this example. You understand? So I'm just trying to point out that as long as there's something you're not understanding, you have to ask. Now let's assume now that we've gotten most of the answers we need. So let's start bringing out test summaries from what we have learned so far. So what are the things we need to test? And then so let's also get it let me also get something out of the way. It's also possible that yeah, it's not like you as a tester have to be perfect and get everything right, but at least the most important business rules have to be covered. You understand? So it's very possible you guys write a test and you miss something, and then later you're like, "Oh my God, we need." There was a bug that happened in production, and we did not test this part well. So let's write a test case for it so that next time we'll be able to test. Yeah, that happens. But at least what I'm trying to say is, you as a tester, you have to try as much as possible to ask enough questions to be able to cover any potential bug that could happen. Remember, the goal is to catch errors or to catch bugs before they go to production. And if you test the right way, you'll be able to catch most of those errors. So let's now that we've gotten some questions out of the way, we also try to understand certain things. Now I want us to write different test the description of different test cases based on what we now know. So we're going to be doing going I'm going to be going around. Give me what say like the description of what you think we have to test based on what we know so far and based on these requirements. So I'm going to start with TC1, let's say TC001, test case one. We're not going to write the full steps, but I just need the description so that we'll cover everything. All right. So what is one test we could run? I'll start with Justin. What will be the description of your first test? Just shoot anything you have in mind. If you don't have anything in mind, you can pass. Then we'll go to someone else. But I'll implore you to try. There are no wrong answers. Wrong answers only make you understand or think more. Justin, are you still in call? Okay, I think Justin is busy. He would have to take his baby to the hospital in a few. Let's move to Chinoso. What would be a description of a test? And while we're writing the test, if you look like, I don't understand something, still ask. I'm the analyst. Still ask, and I'll answer. So
Um,
you know you know what I mean by description, right? Remember, for our test cases, we have the ID. You describe what you want to
yeah.
test before you start testing. So I just mean, what would you like to test, like
um,
based on what you.
Okay, you can verify that when when you select a faro, it automatically provides the user with the tag number. Or
Okay,
it
so
shows the
verify.
choices for tag
What do
numbers.
you mean choice? I don't understand your question. You mean
Because in the requirement it says that when registering a faro, the user has the option of automatically being provided with a tag number, choices of tag number.
no, that's not what the requirement's saying. So
When if a faro and selecting the, the options automatically add piglets, provide the user with the following choices for assigning tag numbers to the piglet. Okay, verify that the user have
good.
choices for
So
assigning
see
tag
now that
numbers to the
I think now
piglet.
you understood the question, the requirements more. Very important. So
Yeah.
verify. Let's go with it. With what you said. Verify again. Sorry, I missed that.
Verify that the user has um is provided with choices for
Okay.
assigning tag
Can
numbers to the piglet.
as can assign tag number as prefix to if because what you said is very different from
Yeah, as
this
prefix.
because the requirement is that um, is to use is I see the requirement is not even very clear. Choice to assign tag numbers to the piglet. Provide user with the following choice to assign tag number. Okay, yeah, okay, it is somewhat okay. So as a prefix, right? So verify that the user can assign tag number
Yeah,
as prefix to the piglets
piglet.
uh, to the piglets tag number identification. So basically, what we are saying is user should be able to select I want tag number to prefix the piglet tag number. Good. All right. So this test case one. What could be our second test case? If I any idea?
Yeah, verify that the tag ID has the suffix of the letter ID and the
Verify
prefix of the
that
letter ID.
the piglet tag ID. Just a minute. Verify that the piglet tag ID has a prefix of the liter
Letter
ID. When remember when liter or more like if liter ID is selected as prefix. This is very important because it's not all the time that liter ID will be the prefix. Remember, we have two scenarios. You're either going to have liter ID as the prefix or mother tag number as the prefix. So liter ID
and
only
then
is
the
should
tag.
only be checked
Okay.
if the user selected liter ID as prefix. Good. So what's the next one? Sumbo, do you have anyone for us?
Verify that mother tag number is added as prefix for pigs
Exactly.
identification
The opposite
if
of this
mother's
one.
ID
Very
is
good. Verify
selected
that
by
piglet tag
user.
ID has a prefix of mother, what's that? Mother tag number if mother tag number is selected. Selected as prefix. All right, great, great, great. What other tests can we run? I'm so happy now. I think as complicated as I might have sounded, I think you guys are getting a bit of the picture. So let's go to Obi. Obi, you got some for us. What could we also test?
That's the two major things on that requirements that I think requires testing that I can't figure out. But I also want to ask, since we are testing the entire registration page, right? So we're
Yes,
also testing other
I
features
want.
on the
I
registration
wanted
page,
us
right?
to test everything on this registration page, or to write a test case for everything on this registration page, because we don't have a test yet. So we're writing a test for this new feature and write any other test that we don't have yet. So remember, if you look at this requirements, there are some things hidden here that we should test too. Okay, let me give you guys a hint. Look at the word here, automatically add piglet. We don't have a test for that. So verify that piglets are automatically added uh, when surviving piglets are registered. And why did I use the word surviving piglets are registered, which is part of um, uh, the things we could have asked is if this male litter is zero, so you see the word alive here. If it's zero and female litter is zero, then there's no surviving piglet. That means nothing should be added. That even means if you guys have asked this question during their stuff, it shouldn't even register anything because that means there were no piglets born alive. So let's try it. Let's see if this is a bug or something. So if we registered like this, let's see what's gonna happen. So you see that is kind of a problem. So technically, let me see, where is it? Oh yeah, okay, it didn't do anything. Let's pick ABC. So it still said confirm Faro, which is fine because we did not liter ID. Let me see. So because we did not mention any piglet, so it made sense that it didn't register anything. So let's see. What if we said none of them were born alive, but we put 10 stillborns? What should happen? So let's see. So it's still okay because it did not register anything. It means it didn't accept it, but it would have been better for us to get an error that says, okay, guy, you cannot have zero male and zero female because that means no pig was born. But those are things you can ask during uh, during the refinement session to figure out, okay, is this a bug? Is this a new feature? But yeah, we want um, we actually want piglets to be added automatically. So that's a test we should also write. Yeah, Obi, you have a question?
Yeah, so it's a test case based on the question that I got clarity on earlier in the group chat. So we can verify that the file registration will be unsuccessful if the user selects liter ID as piglet prefix,
Okay.
but leaves the liter ID box blank.
Um, so if if it selects liter ID with no you select liter ID as prefix. So what Obi is saying is here in the
Prefix.
prefix, the user selected that they want to use liter ID, but then in this input, the person did not put any liter ID. So what you would add is more of so the first question would be to the analyst, what should happen? So because you assumed now because I didn't hear this question during the when we were talking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you actually answered me. You gave me a reply in the group.
okay, you
I
tested
asked a specific question and you gave
in
me a
your
reply.
stuff,
So
okay.
that's why I
But
tested
I
it.
just wanted to I was just talking about this session we're having now. So
Yeah.
here in our question, we didn't have that here in our question
Okay.
summary, but it's a very good question. So the question would be, what should happen, right? So my answer as an analyst is, of course,
Yeah.
it should not add, but it should also return an error. So since we know it should return an error, we're going to write a test case for that. What was your test case again, Obi? What was your description?
Verify that the file registration will
Okay.
be unsuccessful.
If the prefix if
Will
liter
be
ID
unsuccessful
was selected as a prefix,
if
okay. So
if the
let's put it this way.
user
Let's not use the
select.
word
Yeah, yeah.
unsuccessful. Let's use the word return an error. So we say verify that an error
Okay.
will be displayed if the user selects um, liter ID as prefix, but no liter ID
But
uh, was given or was provided. Let's put it provided
provided.
in the liter ID text field or something. So you see now you know what to test just by this description. Very good, very good. Are there any other thing? So you see we were able to bring out this one automatically add piglet. That means when it's successful, we need to go there. You can see that it got added. We have to go to the pig overview and you see it's added. Is there any other thing we can get out of this stuff? So when registering a Pharaoh, select the option to automatically add piglets. Okay, we check that. Provide the user with the following choice. We also had a test for this, which says that the user should have a choice to select. The user should also be able to select tag numbers or mother tag number. We even tested if the prefix is the right prefix. Yeah, this is pretty good. This is a good start up. You understand? Do we have a happy flow? Let's see. Let's verify if we have a happy flow. Verify the user can assign tag number to the uh, verify that the user can assign a tag number as prefix to the piglet page number. I think this one we should expand it more because um, I think this one is a combination of two things. I mean, it's. I think we have a duplicate somewhere. So verify user can assign tag number. Verify that it has a prefix of the letter ID. It's a prefix. Okay. So I think this test can be combined with this one. Wait, maybe I don't understand this one anymore. Let me see. Verify that the user can assign tag number as prefix to the piglet tag identification number. Verify that the piglet tag has the prefix of letter ID. Okay, so I think these two are pretty much the same. Um, because while testing this, this would eventually be tested. So we can merge it. So this is actually how typically you can write your test cases. That's why in most cases, if you're not the only tester in your team, you can collaborate. So just by looking at these two, take for example, this was your first draft. If you send it to another tester, a tester might see something like this. I'm like, okay, can't we combine these two? Because actually, when you're testing this, you automatically test this. Okay, so we're going to take this out and see how we can make this one verify that the user has text prefix. If the letter is selected uh, as prefix, no longer when a faro is registered. So remember, what will help us get the answer of this is after we actually click on when we actually register it. So the test does not. So the end goal is to fill it in and click on confirm faro. Um, and if none of this thing happens before we finish, then that means it's not working. It's not what we intend. So yeah, this the goal is to follow these steps all the way to when you click the button. And before you get to that button, if something is not there, then you report it as a bug. So that's why I add when a faro is registered. Let's see. Do we need to add that? So this one we can say is part of this one because that one gets tested automatically. So, but don't remember when you're writing your test cases, just write everything that comes to your mind, like the way we did it. But then when you're done, you just start looking at, okay, is it possible that this one is also in this one? And then you start merging it together to get the best of it. So This one verifies if the pig ID, the piglet ID has a prefix of litter ID. This one verifies if the prefix has mother tag number. This one verifies that piglets are automatically added. This one verifies that an error. This is beautiful. So this covers most of the problems that we have. Uh, oh, sorry, it covers most of the issues that might arise. And then, of course, you now write your steps and the expected conditions. So let's take some questions. Are there any confusing stuff here? Okay, no confusing things yet. All right, good. So now you have written your test case, right? Let's say these are the test cases we have. Let's look at OB's test cases. So OB had verify that the so ID appears on piglet ID when selecting so when user selects so ID as prefix. So this is also similar to what we have here. Verify that so ID appears on piglet ID. I think that's this one. Verify that piglet, no, sorry. Verify that piglet tag ID has a prefix of mother ID. So that's similar, right, Obi? I think that's the same. Verify that piglet ID adopts litter ID as provided by the user. Okay, this is quite similar to this one. And what else? Verify that Faro registration will be unsuccessful if, so that's indeed, that is similar to this one. To be unsuccessful, it return an error. Verify that Faro registration will be unsuccessful without providing actual Faro date, which is, this is also very good. Yes, that is good. That's also a good one. Because you see here, without actual Faro date, I think it should, yeah, it should give you an error about that. So, but like I said, you might not have access to this stuff, but these are questions that can arise during the refinement, and be like, okay, what about, does all the field needs to be filled in? All this kind of stuff. Questions can come up. So it's good. It's good. Oh, let's see. There's still more. Verify that stillborn piglets are not added to the farm. Also very good. That's a good test. So when stillborns are added, when you when I because stillborn means dead. So both mummified and stillborns means they are dead. So if I put 14 and 8 here and I click confirm, we have to be sure that these piglets are not added. Maybe I put 1 and 1. So actually the total number of piglets that should be added is 2, because these two underneath here are stillborns. So that's a good test, of course. And the reason I'm also I also think it's good is the OB is writing a test for the whole form, which is I think something he asked me, and I agreed with it. So yeah, I think your tests are pretty good. Oh well, we still have more. Verify that crippled piglets are not added. Um, I don't agree with this. Verify that crippled piglets are not added. So crippled piglets, yes, should be added. OB, and the reason is because a crippled piglet is alive. So remember, the first premise is: are there any pigs alive? Yes. A crippled piglet is not dead, so it also will be counted as number of us a male or a female piglet that is alive. So this test will you'll be testing something that is not supposed to be tested, or that is not that is actually supposed to work the way it should work. So we have verified that the file registration will be unsuccessful when both number of male and female litters are not decided, or let's say let me see, let's say make it R set to 0. Good. So I think it's a very good test, Obi. This one I will mark as red. Verify that crippled piglets are not added. So this will be red. This is not correct because crippled piglets are not dead. They are alive. They should be added because you need that for your data. You need that for your stats. But good question to ask during the refinement. But yeah, the rest is quite good. Let me see. We have also Sumba sent in hers. Let's see. Please, if you have any questions, be sure to ask. Okay, so Sumbo's, let's see. So Sumbo has steps. The first one is describe, let's see, precondition. A user can successfully register a successful faro using Piglex tag ID and mother ID prefix. And the steps are when you get to the page, put today's date, and let's see. She also Sumba is also testing the whole page. Let's see. She added the column. Let me see. Where is the column? Actual dates, liter ID. Uh, okay, yeah. So this is okay. So this is the page, the new select. Let me mark it so that way it's kind of more visible. Okay, so this is the new feature that is coming in. So she's using a tabular structure to verify what the input fields should be. And she's saying this is the new feature that we don't have. She's saying that if the user selects use liter ID, this should be the output. That's, let me see. It said the expected result is 4 piglets should be added. So that is good. It's more of a combination of tests. See, 2 male piglets are alive. And the tag ID should start with 0034. Uh, Um, yeah, so Sumbo, this your test is wrong. You missed one thing because I'm seeing that the liter ID here is 0034H, whereas you ended yours to 0034. So this test is not good because your liter ID is 0034H. So what should what is missing here is the tag ID should start with 0034H. 34H. And to be even more specific, you should specify that it should start with 0034H and a dash because that's what we described here in the example. You see, it says it has to start with the tag number. See that? The tag number dash and then the other numbers should follow. So this would be more of it. So uh, you can just say rest or uh, or the ID or something, just for clarity. But this is the most important thing. It should always start with this. So good. So I see that's the only stuff you have. Okay, good. This is an interesting way to write your test case. Did we get any other person? No. All right, great. So now that we've written the test, right? So let's pick up this test that we wrote. Sorry, based on the description here. And now remember, the process now is you've written your test cases, you've reviewed it. So remember, if you write your test case, be sure to review your test case with other testers. Very important. So we're going to also do an exercise like that where we write test cases and then we share with each other so that we can correct stuff. So write a test case, review it with other people because a lot of times the test case you're going to write most times is other testers that will use it. So when you review it, you might be the test case you wrote might make sense to you, but you might send it to another tester. The tester doesn't understand what you mean or what you're writing. So that's why review is good. So because when you review it, the tester will be like, okay, I don't understand what you mean here. Can you rephrase this? Can you rewrite it? And stuff like that. So yeah, I also think that's also the case with mine that I just wrote here. But being the fact we all wrote it together, we all understand it. So now the next step is that yeah, the developers go and the developers build everything, and they're done. And you've prepared your test case already. So now uh, the feature is complete. Sorry. So now the feature is complete, and you as a tester will now use your test cases you've written to now test the software. So as you can see, I built that feature out already. So let's go ahead and see if our test cases will pass. So we'll come in here. Events, I guess. Let's see, do we have any pregnant? Yeah. So let's confirm this pregnancy. Let's see. Let's just backdate it. It's a successful. Great. Good. So first of all, verify that the piglet tag ID has a prefix of the liter ID if the liter ID is selected as prefix. So you see we have that new feature here. It's also confirmed with what the user described to us. So it's here right under these two. So you see that's what we have here. So very good. That's there. And we are going to put the actual Faro date. When is it giving birth? This is the expected Faro date. Okay, this is in March. So let's just backdate it to March and say March 31st. The liter ID we're gonna say RL009. And remember, we're testing verify that the piglet tag ID has a prefix of liter ID. So this is the liter ID, and we selected use liter ID. That's what we selected as prefix, okay, when registering. Okay, so we'll just put a 1 here. We'll say the pig gave birth to 1. We'll leave everything as 0. So how many piglets do we expect to be added to our pig to our pig manager? Or how many pigs do we now think needs to be registered? Chinonso, how many pigs based on what we filled in? How many pigs should be registered? Okay, why'd you say one?
One?
Exactly. Two pigs should be registered. And each of
Okay,
these pigs
two,
that should
because
be
one
registered
male
will
and one
have
female.
this liter ID as a prefix to their ID because we selected use liter ID for piglet tag ID prefix. If I do you have a question? Okay, so let's click on confirm and see if that's what's happening. So
No
we have
questions, sir.
confirmed that pregnancy. Let's go to our manager. So that should also be part of your steps, huh? Your test case. You'll be like, okay, when you've clicked that, you have to go to pig manager, you click on all pigs. You have to verify that 2 pig records were added, and also their tag number starts with 0 with the liter ID, and that's exactly what we see here. See that? The tag number of the new pigs starts exactly with the liter ID. And remember, tag number is very different from name. But the way it's been set now, when you generate it, it's the same thing, but they are different records. So this is what you are paying attention to. So technically, when you write out this would have passed. Okay. Now let's go to the second test. I'm going to reverse. I'm going to reverse this registration. So let's go back, and I'm going to say gonna go back and I'll say remove confirmation. So if I remove confirmation, what happens is I think if you go back here to delete those records and because it's like, oh, it's a mistake that didn't happen and it deletes those records that was added here. So let me try the second test case. So I'm going to confirm again. Yes. So verify that the piglet tag ID has a prefix of mother tag number. So we're going to do that. So definitely we are going to give it a tag, a liter number. Um, and this time we select so tag ID. So tag ID is the same thing as mother tag. Remember, so is the female, the mother is the female piglet. They call them so. So use so tag ID, which is what we are saying, tag ID. Um, and then we put a one and a one again, and we click on confirm. Of course, it tells us we have to have a Faro date. So let's select that and we select. So what we want to check now is, let's view this. What we want to check is that the piglets that we added should have PGIF as their prefix because that is the tag number of the mother of the soul. So let's go and check. And we see that is exactly what we see. So that means this test probably passed. Actually passed. Now, of course, we're missing the steps, but I'm sure you guys already know how to put the steps together. Now let's go to the third one. Let's go to pregnancy. We're going to undo it again. The third one is verify that piglets are automatically added when surviving piglets are registered. So we're gonna do that by by default. That's also we've also seen that, but let's just this time we're gonna put three. We're gonna put three and maybe put yeah, just put three. We say confirm. So we expect six pigs to be added, six piglets, and yes, lo and behold, one, two, three, four, five, six. So we see six piglets are added. And also another interesting thing is when a piglet is added automatically, you still see that they have a button here that says confirm record. It's not part of this test, but I just want you guys to know how to identify this record because when a piglet is added automatically, with the system does not also automatically accept it. It also wants the farmer to come and confirm each of them and be like, yes, I agree that these records are valid. So that's why you see them. So this is also how you recognize new automated pigs. Another way you can identify them is by the dates. So if you look at today, those are the dates that's this were added. So you can count it, then you see that they are all six in number. So technically that test also passed. So we go to the next one. I'm going to undo it again, remove confirmation. So if I remove confirmation, if you go back there, you see they are also deleted because I reversed it. And then we'll go back again and test the last one we have here. Verify that an error will appear if the user selects liter ID as prefix, but no liter ID was provided in the liter text field. Yeah, it's a little bit of mouthful. I think this should be written better, but we understand what it is. So let's give that a test. So that means we did not fill in something here, but we selected liter ID and we said we put four pigs were born. So we did not provide any liter ID here, which is what the test is saying. And the test is also saying that we should expect an error. So let's do that and see. And exactly, we did get an error, but what is the error saying? Okay, the error is saying we have to put a faro date. So let's put a faro date and try again. Okay, it says liter ID required, and it says this liter number was already used. Okay, that's a different error. This I think is a bug because yeah, if you get something like this, then you have to register this separately as a bug. This has nothing to do with this feature. This new feature, but good. It will be like, okay, I'm getting an error. When I didn't fill anything in, it's telling me this little number has already been used. That's not the intention. But yes, did the test pass? Yes, it passed because look, it gave us an ID. Liter ID is required. So you mark this test as passed, but then you register a bug and say, okay, I also saw something else. While I was testing this, I saw something else that is not right and you register it. But this test will be marked as passed because yes, it gave an error when it was empty. Is that clear? Okay. So the next exercise we're going to be working with Azure, Azure DevOps. So if you remember, I kind of added everybody to the Azure DevOps environment. Let me see, not the portal. Uh, Azure. Where is it again? Oh, okay. Info research link. Let's see. This is not where I want to be. DevOps. Oh, where's that link again? I think this one. Yes. So we're going to be using this because this is actually the one of the most popular software management uh, app that is out there in the market, and some of these things we discussed, bugs, features, requirements. This is where it happens, or we use so but the whole team use Azure DevOps or this application to manage their project. So for example, just to give you a high level, we're going to really talk about this as we go. So high level, we just had a situation where we were testing something. So let's go back to that stuff. We're testing something and we realized that this bug also appeared. So what you would do is you go to your DevOps environment, you click on board. I'm just gonna show you guys this, but of course we're gonna start using it and you learn more about it. So, but basically what you do, you come here, you click on backlog probably, and yeah, you click on the backlog and you click on this button and you click on plus. Oh, there's an issue. So I still need to configure it more because yeah, it uses the word issue here, but I'm expecting to see a bug. But let's try maybe from here. New, yeah, it uses the word issue. I have to configure it better, but you would see, of course, it uses the term issue, but the most popular one is bug. So you just come here and you type um, wrong error. Basically, you just want to describe the bug you saw. So wrong error message when adding Faro uh, registration. And then you come down here and then you describe what you do. So we call that steps to reproduce, steps to reproduce. Uh, and then you describe how you got there. So you say step one, leave. I'm just jumping here, but of course you just describe the steps on how you got here. Another thing I see we do a lot in the field is we just make a screenshot. At least I do that a lot. And I'll just come in here and I'll just paste it. And I'll say something like steps to reproduce. I'll make this capital and I'll say when I left, well, sorry, when you leave the liter ID empty, it returns an error that states, or you just say it returns the following error. So you put the error. What was that error again? Uh, let's let's simulate that again. Let's say one. Yeah, just copy this. Oh, actually, this is actually what I should have screenshotted. Just paste it here. I now put what you now write what is expected. Expected, so what I expect is don't mind this styles that are going on here. So what do we expect? What is the expectation? Uh, Expected is I expect not uh, not to display that error message because the message is invalid. So this will be your bug. So you leave it on the board. So wrong error message, and during your sprint, a developer will pick this up, read it, go there. So this, I'll probably not use the screenshot. I'll actually use the screenshot of the actual bug, so that it will help the developer see what the error is. So I'll probably put this here, so the developer would see it himself. So yeah, this is just, of course, you have to write this in a nicer way. But if you have time, I'm just shortening it like this. But the step to reproduce, of course, is you trying to describe how you got this error. A lot of times, screenshots help. I use screenshots a lot during my work, just to help. If I tested it and I found something, I use screenshots, and then I kind of describe what is going on. But remember, like I said, you found you as a tester, we found this bug when we were testing something else, and that something else we were testing passed. So of course we're going to mark that test as passed, but then we're reporting a separate bug that we found while testing. And you see we're here, it's called an issue, but I'm going to reconfigure this environment to, we'll have the opportunity to select bug. You understand? So we're going to be using this. We're going to use this software to simulate how this stuff is going to work in the real world, and that way you start getting accustomed to how to register bugs, how the refinements come in, how requirements come in. Like these requirements I wrote here on the chat, on this on this board here. Generally, this is where you find all of them using this tool. Very popular tool. A lot of big companies use this tool, and I think it's good we start playing with it so we get used to it. Obi, you had a question? Which software? Azure? Yeah, yeah, it's
I
Azure.
wanted to be sure of the way you
I
pronounce
think
the
so. I've heard
software.
people call it Azure, but I know it to be Azure. This particular software is called Azure DevOps. We also have Azure Portal. Azure Portal. So this, so you see, it's also different. It's a whole different software from Microsoft, and you use this to, what is this actually? This is more like a way to host your services. So instead of you hosting your website or your application yourself, Azure provides this awesome stuff where you can just pay them, and then they will host it for you. They will take care of it for you and all of that. So this is a portal, but you don't have to worry about this. What you should be busy with is Azure DevOps, um, and which a lot of companies use. So another big competitor of Azure DevOps is called Jira, Jira.com. So it's possible you, if you're working in a company, there any company that is really like into DevOps, you might find out that they are either using Jira for their software management, or Azure DevOps. Now I work with Obi on Pigax. We use Jira for our software management, and what I just described to you, we use Jira for that. Um, However, yeah, I think this is also very popular, and I think this is more popular than Jira. So that's why I want to expose you guys to this one. But both of them do the same thing. They are used to manage projects, used to manage, development of new features that come into uh, that that are being introduced to a software. And most of the cases, if you understand how Azure DevOps work, you understand how Jira works. If you understand how Jira works, you understand how Azure DevOps works. It's just the same idea for managing projects. Any other question? Yeah. So this is just basically a tool
Is this
that
also the same
when you're
as
working with in an
knowing
agile
how to work in an
when
agile
you're using agile
framework or
framework in your
agile?
development lifecycle, yeah, this is a popular tool that people use because it supports it. You understand? So agile has what you call sprints. They have sprints. Agile has backlogs. So you see those names coming in here. So yeah, this is a very popular tool that people who practice agile and Scrum in their software development lifecycle, they use this tool. because yeah, it just makes your life easier. So yeah, the same with Jira as well. Jira also supports has like it's built for people who are companies who use that use Scrum or Agile way of working. Yeah. So um, I do hope the session the way we worked it kind of made a lot of things clear. I think one point that Obi mentioned that
Yeah.
maybe was a little bit confusing was there's a difference between writing test cases and testing, actually. So writing test cases is actually what happens when there is no test case existing or when there is a new feature coming in, you write test case. Then testing is actually you using the test case to now test. The test cases, if it's a new feature, does when you're writing test case for a new feature, the feature does not exist yet. You write that test case based on what you understand from the analyst. If it's a bug, yes, the feature exists, but something is not working right. So you still use an existing, you actually use an existing test case to test that. Now, if you start working in a company, most of the time they already have test cases. They already have test cases. What you as a tester would do is follow the test case to test. Then whenever there's a new feature, then you as a tester need to either edit an already existing test case. So just think about it here. So now take a look at this. Let me use Obi's example. So um, Obi Obi wrote a test case that says verify that the SO ID appears, blah blah. So he has this whole test case that tests the Faro registration. So now we're going to put this in our test archive, right? So what if I come with a new feature and I say, oh, there needs to be another drop down here that does something else. So what you as a tester would do is you just go and edit this your already existing test case. So you just come down here and add an extra test case for that feature. So because you already have a test case for this particular page, you just come and add, okay, we want to test this and maybe even edit some of this take for example, if this test case will fail, if this test case will fail, if something was not done in that particular new feature, then you just add it here. Maybe you just say select yes on the new feature on the say on the ABC drop down. So because you know maybe if this was not selected, this particular test will fail. So you just you just add edit this your existing stuff. Say okay, select yes. Maybe it's a drop down that has a yes and no. So select yes, and then you come down here and write a total new test case that is testing that particular feature, and just like we did here, edit any of your existing test case that has that that new feature would impact. So these are the exercises that will happen most of the time when you're a tester. You understand? Most of the time, you're gonna be using, yeah, you're not gonna be writing. In most cases, you're not gonna be writing a lot of test cases. You're gonna probably be editing existing test cases or just running the test using the test cases that already exist. You get it? Any questions? Any confusions? Okay. And before we end this course, I mean, before we finish this whole course, you're going to also see that all of these steps you wrote here, we can automate it. Imagine having the computer click all of this, do all of this for you. You understand that? That's when we'll be talking about automated testing. But now we're talking about manual testing. You see, you're manually doing all of this. You're manually going there. You're manually filling it in. You're manually clicking it. And when we talk about automated testing, we're just gonna do something, write a script, and you see the page will open. The computer will fill all of this for you, and click on Faro and go and confirm. All of that will be done automatically, and that's beautiful. But before you can write automated testing, you already need to know how to write manual testing. You need to know the steps. You need to know what the computer should be able to do. So it's really going to be exciting as we go. But we have to like start mastering manual testing first and like, okay, understand how it works. Okay. So this is where we'll be ending our lesson today. I hope if you also think of any question or something is not clear to you, be sure to come back and ask and stuff like that, or leave a question in the group. Okay. So from our next the next time we'll come together, we'll continue with our theories. The theories, like I said, of course doing stuff practically helps you understand more. But I'll be sure to put the theories out there because we need that for the exams that you're gonna take. Remember, we've talked about black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing. I've used some terms for you guys. Please note those terms. So that those are terms that might come in your exams. You would need to understand what they mean to be able to answer it pretty well. And by the time we start getting to halfway of this course, what I also intend to do is I'm going to bring some mock exam questions. We're going to play around with it just to get you guys prepared for it. And remember, for you to be a software tester, you don't have to know everything. The basics you need to know. A lot of the learning, a lot of the real stuff happens when you actually get a job and when you're actually doing it. You're going to learn so much so fast because most of the time you're going to be working with experienced testers. You're going to see a lot of things. A lot of things that we learned here will now make sense to you. Be like, oh, now I get it. So don't have in mind that, oh, I'm not where I need to be, or I'm not understanding everything. That's usually the step or what happens when you're learning something new in your career. But put in effort, do your assignments, ask questions. There are a lot of things. There are certain things I keep repeating, which is, be sure to ask questions when you're not sure of certain things. Be very close to your analyst. The analyst most of the time is the one that has all the answers to the questions. And if something does not make sense to you, ask the analyst. Don't assume. You understand? So these things I'm tipping to you are very important things I want you guys to remember in your journey. You understand? So don't get daunted. Don't get intimidated. Just keep some of the things you don't even that you feel are not clear now. As we go on, they'll just keep getting clearer. And I want to introduce you guys to what's happening in the market. I don't want to give you guys theory. That's why you see I'm even taking you guys into DevOps, because I wanted, like, when you guys get a job, you're familiar with a lot of things already, and you're like, okay, let's go, we're ready to go. All right. So I think it's going to be quite interesting. And yeah, please raise up your hand if you have any questions. Okay, no questions. So you guys have a good day, and I wish you guys a lovely weekend and a lovely holiday, and have a good day. All right. Bye, guys.